So this is going to be the first conversation I'm going to have with somebody else, which is great because it's a lot easier to talk to somebody else and to like this strange mechanism here in front of me. And you all know I'm Carmen, and I had a career for 32 years, well, plus in national security and at CIA, although you would never think by meeting me, I hope. And I'm going to let Julia Mossbridge introduce herself.
I am so excited to be your inaugural conversation partner. This is very exciting. My name is Julia Mossbridge. My background is largely in academia, specifically cognitive neuroscience, experimental psychology, psychophysics. I have a real interest in time and understanding time and how it relates to human thinking and to human non-thinking, sort of unconscious processes, and the physics of time and how that relates to our experience of time. I also have interest in well-being and unconditional love and foresight in general, making things better for humanity and the planet. And I met Carmen in 2020 at the beginning of COVID, and we've been collaborating and hanging out and sort of work friends since, and just so grateful to be here. So
very good.
Pandas playing cello.
Yeah, that's right. That's us. Well, you'll explain what that means at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed it at your end, but I changed the view so that we're side by side.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
For the purpose of recording it, I think that makes a much better view. So I don't know if you want to change the side by side view at your end as well.
I would like to, except
you don't know if you can.
I don't see that I can, so I'm going to let it go.
Well, good. So Julia has been on my case for a couple of years now, really as long as I've known her, to see the movie Arrival. And yes, I know. And I finally saw it yesterday morning. You know, it was Sunday morning. I'm not a real watch a movie in the evening person. I've never gotten into that routine. But finally I said, okay, I'm going to watch it in the morning. And I thought that would be a good first topic for us to talk about, because I think it kind of flows into both of our areas of expertise and kind of our contrasting, conflicting, and complementary areas of expertise. So I thought that would be a good first topic.
Yeah, and just so people know,
she's moving. She's moving.
Here we go. We're talking about this movie,
yes,
Arrival.
That's right.
With Jeremy Renner, with Amy Adams, and with, what's his name, this guy?
This guy. He's Forrest. I think, is he Forrest Whitaker?
Forrest Whitaker. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's what we're talking about. There's another movie called The Arrival, which is also interesting, nowhere near as good in my opinion, and that's not the movie we're talking about.
Is that the one with Jodie Foster, or which one is the one with Jodie Foster?
Contact, you're thinking.
Contact. And how do you feel about that movie?
You know, it's interesting. Just Arrival is my favorite movie in the entire world.
Oh my goodness!
So, yeah, so nothing. I've seen it 15 times. It's just like I see myself in the Amy Adams character.
Yeah.
And I met Sean Levy once in an airport, and I like fell all over him and said, "Thank you for making." Sean Levy, the executive producer.
Oh, okay.
I met him at an airport. I'm like, "Thank you for making Arrival." And
I thought when I watched the whole thing, I thought it was a very brave movie to make, because its audience was not going to be, to me, obvious. You know, it's quite cerebral. After I watched it, I sort of was exploring the concept of language in the movie. And, you know, we may have to do several parts on this, because there's a lot that we can talk about here.
Yeah.
But, you know, they actually had a linguist on and to be a technical advisor in the movie. And so I was quite interested in, as I've always been interested in concepts of how language affects the way you think, or does it not. And as someone who was raised bilingual, because Spanish was my first language, but English came, you know, by 2.5, I was in Oklahoma, you know, having to make it through probably some pre-K kind of thing in English. So it's just an interesting topic to me.
Yeah, we might need more than one episode.
I think so. I can already tell.
Yeah, because already I have like 6 things. Also, by the way,
I got
Nina Krauss wrote this amazing book. Nina Krauss is a neuroscientist at Northwestern, and she wrote this amazing book called Of Sound Mind, and she explains beautifully how being bilingual.
Dana Cross?
Nina, N-I-N-A, Nina Krauss, Of Sound Mind. She
Nina.
explains beautifully how being bilingual boosts your capacity to think differently. And because she goes into the detail of what this is doing to your brain.
Kraus with a K or a C?
K-R-A-U-S. I could send you a link to any books we mentioned, because
Of Sound Mind.
Give people resources.
Maybe we can start, if we start doing lives, maybe we can start a book club.
Oh, totally. That's a great idea.
Having people, books that we suggest, and they read them, and then we can,
we could just crowdsource the books. Like, okay, we're going to read this and then do that.
All right.
But we also have to have a dance club. So I really, I'm very passionate about having a playlist that goes with Pandas playing cello.
Yes, well, but the problem is you get into copyright issues.
No, so I figured this out.
Oh, okay.
So we don't play the song on screen. There's 2 options. We either just give people, we say, here's the link to the playlist. We've added this song. Go listen to the playlist. Play it at your own house. Play it at your own house. Or we do that, and at the very end, we listen to it on headphones ourselves and we dance, and it's just totally silent. Wouldn't that be fun?
Embarrassing, perhaps.
Yes, which is why it's good.
All right. So since I know we are well into this and are hardly talking about the movie.
Okay, right. Back to the movie.
Let me start, because I'm the person newly exposed to it, and just say like 2 or 3 important impressions that I had about it. First, I can totally tell why this would be such an important movie about it, because of the way it handles precognition in time travel. It's so sophisticated in the way that it treats it, so sophisticated that at least for a while you have no effing idea what is really going on in the movie. And it's almost like there were moments when I was like going, wait, which is current time and which is some other apparent time, which I don't understand. So I get that. And have always loved Amy Adams as an actress, because I think her face and her ability to express subtle emotions is unparalleled, really. So good. That's one. The way it depicts time travel is so interesting. And maybe you could say kind of what were the real strengths about that, and what or in the weaknesses from your perspective. And then the second thing that I will say about it as my first impression is the way that it discussed national security stuff just drove me totally bonkers, because it was so stupid. So I can't actually cite a strength for the way they treated national security. Maybe one will come to me as I'm talking, but and it's the problem whenever you watch a movie that treats or deals with an area that you personally have deep expertise in. It is really hard for anything made for popular or broad entertainment to get it right. But
okay, but let's start there. I want to hear I want to hear your complaints about the national security.
But there were just too many what I thought were unforced errors. The filmmakers didn't have to go very far to do better. So, for example, the fact that a colonel was in charge of that whole activity was just ludicrous. Had the filmmakers never heard of generals? Generals, there are thousands of generals in the U.S. military, or at least they used to be, until that Alabama senator started holding up promotions. But that's another topic. But
I agree with you. The whole activity is literally the only sort of UFO with creatures inside that lands in the United States. And the colonel's like, I'll do this. Yes. I'm going to do this.
So that was just nutty. Second, the again caricatured portrayal of the CIA person as a total idiot and male,
toxic masculinity.
Please give me a break. And I'm sure in future episodes, we'll talk about this. And then third, less important a point, but nevertheless annoyed me. You know, the US government has many fantastic language experts and linguists. In fact, they have an entire agency devoted to that, the National Security Agency, which is mostly what they do is break codes and translate stuff. Breaking a code is exactly the same activity, not quite exactly, but very similar to what Louise is doing in the movie.
That's the
And
Amy Adams character, for
the
those who
Amy
haven't
Adams
seen it.
character, right? So, you know, and let me just say, the National Security Agency probably has more Farsi speakers than it knows what to do with. But you know, whatever.
Well, that was for filmmaking purposes. It
yes,
doesn't like
I know.
yeah.
I
They
got
can't send it
that.
to
You
a
know,
faceless agency and say, "Oh, thank you for the information. Now we're done."
you wouldn't have a story if they didn't have to go find. I guess she was at Berkeley, not clear, but those are my mega points. So curious about what your mega points are concerning. Well, let
Time.
me just say one last thing. I was happy that the U.S. was portrayed as pursuing a non-confrontational policy approach.
A unifying
Yeah,
approach. A
yes,
unifying. It was not only
yeah,
non-confrontational.
and let
I
me
mean,
not get into
eventually,
yes, you know, that portrayal of China is ruled by this strange military general. Whatever. Okay, now over to you. So, what did you like about
I noticed
the
all those
physics
things.
of it all?
Just so you know, I noticed all those things too, but I think they're part of telling a good story that has, you know, the bad guy and the good guy. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it just makes it more dramatic. If it's a bunch of people shoving paper around going, gosh, I'm not sure what we should do. Well, me neither. Well, maybe we'll try this. It just isn't dramatic enough. Um, what I loved, so about the timepiece, the reason why I've seen it 15 times is what I loved about it. The original, it was based on a story by Ted Chiang.
have you read that?
Yes. I've read all the things. Yes.
I know
A
you
Story
have,
of
yeah.
Your Life. And Chiang, I can send you the link. And I read the story, and it was somewhat different, but a lot of similarities, very true, very true to the most basic concepts. But he was exploring, if you knew what happened in your what would happen in your life, tenses are very hard when you start thinking about time. I screw up my tenses all the time. If you knew what would happen in the future in your life, would you sort of do it anyway? Because of course there's always really difficult things that you would know about, right?
Right.
And so the answer of the character is yes. And that's really, it was a personal question that was explored through this sort of multinational
Yes,
confrontation with aliens.
right.
But there's just so many spoiler alerts that we're just going to assume you've
Yeah.
seen the movie or read the story.
Well, it's been out for many years, so.
Right, exactly. It's not so bad. So I think that is a really fascinating question, especially for people like me and other people who have had these experiences of just knowing certain things about the future that, like, through my whole life and through other people I work with through their whole lives, these things just happen and you sort of swim toward them like, or I guess fly toward them like a moth towards a light. Like, it's like an attractor and you don't know if it's good or bad, but you know it's happening. And I felt like that was expressed incredibly well in the story and in the film. I thought they did a brilliant job expressing that in the film. And it brings up this question of free will, like,
yes,
right? And this idea of circularity of time. And the other reason I love it is because I don't have any complaints about how they dealt with time. I think time works exactly like the way they talked about it in the movie. I think Ted Chiang has a very fine, the only difference is that when I asked Ted Chiang to come to a conference that I was building last year at University of San Diego called Quantum Time Machines, he came to a panel and we talked about time travel on the panel. But he said, look, you could never have, it's just not physical. You could never have a system where you could communicate backwards in time. It's just a story. And I was in full disagreement with him. And so were some of the other people there, but some of the other people there agreed with him. Of course, this is an open question in physics. But what I love about the story is, to me, he saw through his own bias, which is that this can happen, and created a story about it happening, getting clear information about a future event that allowed someone to navigate positively towards a future that benefited humanity. I thought that was awesome.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I often react to a movie plots or storylines that call up fate and destiny,
Yeah.
which are, not the same thing as time travel, but that they're kind of related. Even the I'm not even sure what I'm thinking out loud here, but
It's like destiny makes time travel possible.
yes, yeah. Ooh, okay, yeah. So I react very well to that. And the other thing that I don't think I've ever told you this, but the other thing that I have noticed about my life, and there's a saying, Meg Wheatley wrote this in the first edition of her book Leadership in the New Science, which is one of the most influential books I've ever read. And she writes something like, live your life with confidence, knowing that each step you take takes you closer to understanding the meaning of your life.
Yeah.
And I mean, that gives me chills even when I say it. And
Yeah.
as I've gone through, and I'm in my 68th year now, so there's a considerable difference in ages between Julia and I, not uncrossable or unbridgeable, but nevertheless, still
It's just a generational difference. I'm just
generational
14
thing.
years younger. Yeah.
As I've noticed that the kind of a common theme in my life is reunion.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I've always really, when I think back on movies that I really like, that are deeply important to me, they almost all have this theme of reunion. And so I kind of live my life. I mean, I don't obsess about it, but always in the back of my head, I'm thinking there are still more reunions, although I don't know what I have no idea what they're going to be.
So we started out with Arrival. We're probably going to dip back into it, but is it okay if I talk about this dream that came up when you said
Yeah,
that?
sure. Yeah. And then I
Okay.
think we're going to probably, after that, we'll probably end this one, not to keep the first one that long, and conscious of time. Go ahead.
Okay, so we will come back to Arrival though in a
Yeah,
future
we
one
will.
because
We
there's
will.
so much more. Like we
Well,
just started
I mean,
talking.
I want to talk about the heptapods.
Yes, we're going to be
And
talking about that.
yes,
Yes.
and the
Okay.
whole idea of they
Well,
had
and the
to.
telepathy thing and
Oh
how
yes.
they taught her
Oh
to
yeah.
write with
Yes.
her own
There. Yeah.
body, like psychokinetically. I mean,
Yes.
what? Yeah. And then the Morph-Sapir hypothesis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes. Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
But anyway, your dream.
On our agenda. What came up was this dream, this powerful dream I had that I had forgotten about for like years until you just said that thing about reunions. And so that's why it felt like important to say. The dream is that I'm swimming through, here's the situation. I'm swimming through a river. And what I know is that for sure is that when I'm in one section of the river, I will remember everything in that section of the river. But when I swim under this bridge, like it's like a land bridge or tunnel, I'll forget everything. And when I get to the new river, it'll be like, oh, I don't know anything now. And I'll swim and
Okay.
swim.
Yeah.
So I go through multiple ones of those and I'm having this experience of like, wow, I really want to try to remember this time. And then, oh no, I can't remember. Oh, I really want to try to remember.
Yeah.
And then at some point I get to the end and there's no more bridge, there's no more river. And I climb out on the bank and I sit down next to this person. And he's a man and he's so familiar to me. And he turns to me and says, thanks for finally joining me.
Oh
And
wow.
it just feels like an incredible reunion. I don't know who this person is. And I don't know if it's a person. It could be
Right.
like my animus or something. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
God or something, right? Like it maybe not a person.
Right.
But it felt just like, and the feeling of reunion with this person was so powerful. Like I did all that. And the whole time, this other thing was like this powerful experience. Anyway.
Wow. That's very interesting. Well, it leads me to say that, we're quite different people. But I think a couple of things that we both agree upon and honor, so believe in. So I deeply believe in mystery, right? there's just great mystery in our lives. And, you know, we humans, I think, at least for now, are fated to live in a universe that we don't understand. So that's, to me, such an interesting condition to be in. And I also, you know, believe in awe. I want to be awed, and I am constantly awed, and I feel awe. I'm a non-practicing Roman Catholic, but whenever I get a moment of awe, I will cross myself. And it could be just that I'm driving down the road and I see something that just has some kind of resonance that it's almost like I feel it, and then I will cross myself, because for me, that's like a moment of awe. And it can be extraordinary, or it can be quite mundane.
I think we
The
for sure
moment
share
itself
those.
that inspires the awe.
Yeah. I think we for sure share those two things, except as a Jew, I'd probably do like this and then like this. But probably no, it's too complicated. But the thing I would add is I think we both believe in the ultimate power of love, by love defined as human connection.
Yes, yes.
And even non-human connection, so like human
Yes.
connection with animals, but just
Absolutely.
that experience of connection and awareness of interdependence. I think that's
Right.
key for both of us. I wonder what our differences are. I want to get into our differences next time too.
Okay, well, there's going to be a lot of these, I think. I fear. I worry. Okay. So,
don't worry. What would be the point of having two people who are the same? Then it's just
exactly,
just like
very boring, very boring. So let me just say that when I upload the video, in the comments, I'm going to put a link to the Wikipedia article on Arrival, in case people haven't seen it and want to get a sense of the plot and so forth and so on. And also, right now, it's playing on Netflix, which is where I saw it. And I might put in links to Julia and my LinkedIn bios.
And we should put links to the Nina Cross book, the
Yes.
Ted Chiang book, and there was another book that you mentioned. We should put links.
Oh yeah, Leadership in the New Science by Meg.
Yeah, we should put those in.
Yeah.
And should we do a little dance party, or are we not ready for that yet?
I don't think we're ready.
Okay.
I know you are always ready, but
let me know.
I don't have headphones on, so there you go.
Okay, yeah, so all right, but we could start the playlist soon.
Yes, but I just want to say that thank you to anyone, all of you who've listened to this inaugural episode of, we're calling it Pandas Playing Cello. Yeah.
Sure, Pandas Playing Cello.
And we'll at a subsequent talk explain to you what we mean by that. Thanks a lot. If you eventually, we're going to post these on both my channel, Cosas de Osos, and Julia's channel on YouTube. And if you liked it, hit the like button, because it really does help. And if you want to get a notification of when we do the next one, you can subscribe. It's free, and that also helps as well. Anything else from you, Julia?
I'm just really happy we're doing this. So much fun. Carmen and I have the best conversations.
I know. I think, I don't know if anybody else will find it interesting, but we're recording them for posterity. How great is that?
That's hilarious.
All right. So hang on. We can talk afterwards, but this is the official end.